Alex Eala just sent another warning to the tennis world. But this time, it wasn't just about winning a match. It was about who she beat. Standing across the net was Leylah Fernandez, a Grand Slam finalist, an established WTA star, and the defending champion of the Mubadala City DC Open. And when the match was over, Eala had done something that immediately changed the conversation around her. She had beaten the defending champion in straight sets. For a player still building her name at the highest level, this was another major statement. But perhaps the most interesting part of the story is what comes next. Because Eala's run didn't end with Fernandez. It only became more difficult. And now, waiting on the other side is another experienced name who has spent years competing at the highest level of women's tennis. Alina Svitolina. Suddenly, Eala's tournament has transformed into something much bigger than a single upset. It's becoming a test of whether she can turn momentum into something lasting. Before facing Fernandez, Eala had already shown that she wasn't afraid of big challenges. She had fought her way through a difficult path and earned the opportunity to face the defending champion. But Fernandez represented a completely different level of pressure. She wasn't just another opponent. She was the player who had won this tournament the year before. She knew the conditions. She knew what it felt like to play deep into this event. And she had the experience of handling the pressure that comes with defending a title. Eala, meanwhile, had something different to prove. She had to show that her recent progress could translate into results against established opposition. And that's exactly what happened. From the moment the match began, Eala refused to allow Fernandez to settle into the contest. Instead of playing like someone overwhelmed by the occasion, she looked increasingly comfortable as the match developed. The result was a straight-set victory. And that is what makes the win so significant. There was no dramatic collapse from Fernandez that Eala simply took advantage of. There was no need for a deciding set to settle the contest. Eala got the job done without allowing the defending champion to take control of the match. That kind of result doesn't guarantee anything about the future. But it does reveal something important about the present. Eala is becoming increasingly capable of handling the kind of opponents who once represented a completely different level of challenge. And every time she does it, the expectations around her change. A few years ago, a victory like this would have been treated as a surprising breakthrough. Now, it feels like another chapter in a rise that is becoming harder to ignore. That's the real warning Eala is sending. Not that she can win one big match, but that she can keep appearing in those moments where the pressure is highest, and actually deliver. However, there is a major difference between producing a big upset and building a deep tournament run. The first can happen in one afternoon. The second requires consistency. And that's where Eala's next challenge becomes so important. Alina Svitolina brings an entirely different kind of test. The Ukrainian has spent years competing against the best players in the world. She has been ranked as high as world number 3 and has experienced the pressure of major tournaments many times before. Against someone like Svitolina, Eala won't simply be facing another big name. She will be facing a player who knows how to adjust during a match, how to manage momentum, and how to survive difficult stretches when the opponent starts gaining confidence. That means Eala's victory over Fernandez can no longer be treated as the final destination. Now she has to reset. The excitement of defeating the defending champion has to disappear. The celebrations have to stop. And the focus has to return to the next point. That mental transition can be one of the hardest challenges in professional tennis. After a major victory, it's easy to become emotionally invested in what just happened. But the next opponent doesn't care about the previous result. Svitolina will enter the match with her own game plan. And Eala will have to prove that she can start again from zero. That's why this next match could tell us more about her development than the Fernandez victory itself. Against Fernandez, Eala showed that she can rise to a huge occasion. Against Svitolina, she has the chance to show that she can sustain that level. Those are two completely different skills. One creates the breakthrough. The other creates the career. And Eala now finds herself in a position where the second one matters more. Because the further she goes, the less she can rely on being underestimated. Opponents are beginning to know her name. They are beginning to understand her game. and they are beginning to recognize that she is capable of beating players who have far more experience on the WTA Tour. That changes everything. The element of surprise becomes smaller. The preparation from her opponents becomes greater, and the pressure on Eala increases with every victory. But that's also where the biggest opportunities appear. If Eala can overcome Svitolina, the story becomes much more powerful. It would mean that her run isn't simply built around one memorable upset. It would mean she defeated the defending champion and then followed it up with another major victory against an experienced elite player. That kind of sequence can change the trajectory of a tournament, and perhaps even the way the tennis world views a player. But Eala still has to earn it. Nothing about the next match will be easy. Svitolina has the experience. She has the tactical intelligence. And she knows what it takes to perform when the stakes rise. Eala will need to bring the same confidence that helped her defeat Fernandez, while also understanding that the next match will demand something new. She will have to stay patient. She will have to deal with momentum swings. And she will have to avoid letting the importance of the occasion affect her decision-making. That's the challenge facing every young player who suddenly finds themselves under the spotlight. The first big victory gets everyone excited. The second big victory gets everyone interested. But repeated victories are what make people start believing that something special is actually happening. And Eala is now approaching that point. Her story is no longer just about potential. It's about results. The attention surrounding her is growing because the results are giving people a reason to pay attention. That's why this victory over Fernandez matters beyond the scoreboard. Eala didn't just defeat a recognizable opponent. She defeated the player who had already proven she could win this tournament. And now she has earned another opportunity to test herself against one of the game's most experienced competitors. Whatever happens next, the pressure will be different. If she wins, the noise around her will get even louder. If she loses, the experience could still become another important step in her development. But the one thing she can no longer be is overlooked. That may be the biggest change of all. Because Eala has reached the stage where every major performance carries consequences. A victory raises expectations. A defeat becomes a lesson. And every match adds another piece to the bigger picture of where her career might be heading. For now, though, the focus is simple. The defending champion is out. Alex Eala is still standing. And another major challenge is waiting. This is the moment when a promising run can become something much more significant. Because beating Leylah Fernandez was impressive. But what Eala does after beating her could be the part that people remember. She has already shown that she can defeat a champion. Now she has to show that she can keep moving forward after doing it. And that's why Alex Eala just sent another warning to the tennis world. The warning isn't that she has arrived. It's that every time the level of competition rises, she continues to find a way to answer. Now comes the next test. Alina Svitolina is waiting. And this time, the tennis world won't be watching to see if Alex Eala can surprise everyone. They'll be watching to see if she can do it again. Because the biggest question surrounding Alex Eala is no longer whether she belongs on this stage. It's what happens next.